What's up, everybody? Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Sharina. Welcome back to my channel. First off, I would like to say Happy Halloween. This is like one of my favorite times of year. I love to dress up with my kids. We like to go out and have a good time, but because of the COVID issues, we won't be able to do trick or treat. We won't be able to go out and trick or treat, but we gonna still celebrate here at home. We gonna still have fun with it. I gotta finish dyeing my hair. Harvey Quinn, yes, I love her. She's my favorite villain, so I'm gonna be Harley Quinn this year. I gotta finish dyeing my hair, but that's okay. Today I wanted to do story time. I wanted to talk about some of the supernatural experiences that I have experienced myself since I was little until now. Like I've always had some type of supernatural experience in my life. It's so many I can't even count. My grandma, they used to tell us all types of scary stories and stuff that happened to them when they was children and stuff that happened to them throughout life. They told us a lot of supernatural stories. We was raised on a farm, and the farm that we was raised on is like old slave farm land. Like that's slave land. It's still slave plantation houses and stuff up down there. It's kind of creepy, It's kind of creepy down there, but I mean that's where I was raised. But like I said, I've had my own experiences with the supernatural. Y'all, I swear Mississippi is haunted. It's not a place that I can go and just live and not experience some type of supernatural experience. Nowhere. Nowhere. I don't see how people go to graveyards and stay there all night. That stuff like that is just creepy. Like, why would you be at a graveyard? I remember being 6 years old. My mom had just made it back from the military. She had my brother. My brother was probably like 6 months. And my mom, she had to work. I remember me and my cousin, we was setting up one night and we was watching Arsenio Hall. My grandmother had went to bed. And we was watching Arsenio Hall, and out of nowhere, this man, he stood about 6 feet tall. He had on a long trench coat, and he had like a fedora hat, the hats they used to wear like back in the 1930s. He had a briefcase in his right hand, and he walked out of my uncle's room and into my auntie room where my brother was. And so it took me and my cousin a minute to like just say anything. We just looked at each other. We gave each other that look. And we ran up the hall, and when we ran into my auntie room, my brother had turned blue. He had stopped breathing. He wasn't breathing at all. I remember my cousin raising him up in the air and like shaking him to get him to breathe. So once we got him back to breathing and everything, we went in my grandma's room and we told her what we saw and everything that had happened. And she did give us a story. She told us that the man that we described to her sounded like a doctor that used to come and do house calls back, when she was giving birth to children, like when she was younger. It was a doctor she described that looked just like the man that we saw. And so like that was so super creepy. We didn't know what was going on, but we described the man to her, and she told us that sounded like the doctor that used to come and visit her when she was sick. I remember one day, I mean, it was so pretty outside, you guys. It was beautiful. Like the sun was out, the sky was clear. I mean, it was a good day. It was a really nice day. I'm not for sure where. I think I was going to Memphis. I'm not for sure. But I was leaving the town that I live in now. And on the right side of the interstate, it was a woman. And she was dressed like people dressed back in the early 1800s. She looked like an Indian. I'm gonna put it like that. She looked like a full-blooded Indian. She had long, straight black hair, and she was on her knees on the side of the road. She had her hands out in front of her, and it was a blanket laying on the ground, and it was a child inside of the blanket. It looked like the child was asleep, like the child was laying on his back and he was asleep or she was asleep. And the lady was over the child with her hands out in front of her, like she was asking for somebody to help her or something. Her hands was just out in front of her. But when I saw that, the first thing I thought of, because that's when a lot of people started finding out that, you know, slave trading was real big. And I had watched a couple of documentaries on how women would be taken by people and, you know, made as slaves and sex slaves and stuff like that. And so when I saw that, like, I locked eyes on this woman for, I know, about 20 seconds. I'm surprised I didn't drive off the road. And so the exit was right there. So I went back up on the exit to circle back around. And when I circled back around, the lady was completely gone. Nobody was there. Nobody was there. And that really, really, really freaked me out. Because in the same spot that I saw her was the same spot me and my son had a wreck in. We had a wreck like when he was like 3 years old. And I remember when we had the wreck, as we was having the wreck, like, I remember praying to God, like, God, please, 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 Father, don't take us, you know, we're not ready, I'm not ready, but if you gotta take anybody, take me. Please don't take my son. That's all I was saying in my head. It's like time had stopped. And I kept saying, you know, don't take my son. If you gotta take anybody, take me. But it was in that same spot, and it was so ironic that I saw her there. It was another incident where me and my daughter, we was just sitting on the couch one day. We was watching television, and she was probably about 10. No, I said she was about 11. She was about 11 at this time. And you know, we was just sitting on the couch watching TV, and out of nowhere, a big ball of smoke appeared out of nowhere. It was like a ball of smoke. And it appeared, it was so big, and then it just disappeared in front of us. And we both kind of looked at each other, and we looked back at the TV, and she said, Mama, did you see that? And I said, yeah, baby, I seen that. And it really kind of, it freaked us out. The place that we was living in at that time, it was right behind an old Victorian house. And from my understanding, the homeowners of that house said that the people that lived there back in the 1800s, they buried them there on that land. And so I don't know, you know, like I said, Mississippi got a lot of spooky places because, you know, a lot of people die horrible deaths in Mississippi. You know, like I said, it's one of the top slave states that there is. And so I don't know, you know, it just really freaked me and my daughter out. I remember in my hometown where I was raised at, my mom, we lived in a Victorian house, and it was a lot of creepy stuff that happened in that house. It was built in like 1850, I want to say. They said that the owner of that house was a pastor. Him and his wife stayed there, and they used to hide slaves in the attic. And I remember us going up into the attic, and it was like cupboards, whatever you call them, the little blocks. It was like little cut out spots, like where you would put things at. It was you know, really weird to be in that type of a house. But from my understanding, that the pastor and his wife used to hide slaves there. But I had a lot of supernatural experiences there. I remember waking up one night right after I had my son, and I woke up to humming. And this wasn't no normal humming. This was like hums, like slave women. It was like slave women that was humming. They was saying old hymns. And it woke me up because it's like they all was around my bed. It was like a lot of women around my bed singing. My son had woke up. And I don't know if they was trying to sing him back to sleep. I don't know what was going on, but I just remember waking up to women standing around my bed humming old hymns, and that, you know, that kind of like spooked me a little bit, but you know, I didn't feel threatened or anything, but it was a little creepy. there was another time, and this is the last story, you guys. I was living in an apartment. I had just moved into this apartment, and my friend, I had a friend that stayed there before I did, and she was telling me a lot of stuff that was going on, you know, about her son was seeing stuff, and like she was hearing stuff, and she said her bed started shaking one night, and a whole bunch of other stuff, you know, and you know, she told me and stuff, but I'm like, okay. I really just didn't take it to heart like that, you know. I didn't take it to heart like that. So she ended up moving, and so I needed a place to stay, so I went on and got the apartment. So one night my son spent the night at my mom's house, and I was asleep in my bed. I remember watching some infomercial. They was, you know, explaining stuff about their projects and stuff like that, but I remember falling asleep. The only light that was on was my TV. And so when I fell to sleep, it's like I woke up and I could not move my body. I couldn't move, I couldn't talk. And I done had experiences like that before, where I would wake up and I couldn't move. But this was the first time I ever saw something. You know, while I went through, this was the first time that I ever seen anything. I remember falling asleep, and when I woke up, I could not move my body. I could not move my body. I couldn't talk. I couldn't turn my head. I couldn't do anything. They call it sleep paralysis, but no, there's not no sleep paralysis. That's something else. I don't care what people say. My grandma always told me, if that ever was to happen to me and I could not speak, to repeat the Lord's Prayer. If I can't say it in my mind. And so my grandma, she taught me that from a young age, because like I said, I have experienced that before in my life. But this one night I woke up and I could not move my body at all. When I looked over to the left side of me, there was a little girl standing by my bed. She was probably about 7 years old. I couldn't see her face. I could only see the shadow part, like her shadow, the outline of her body. And at first I'm thinking, okay, well this must be because I had a friend that stayed down the street, so I'm like, okay, this must be, you know, her daughter. I'm like, baby, you know, what's wrong? I'm like, what you doing here? What's wrong? You know, I'm saying this in my mind because I couldn't speak. But she just stood there at my bed. I mean, she was just standing there looking at me. And so I made myself wake up. Like I don't know how I did, but I shook myself up where I got up. I'm like, okay, yeah, that was creepy. I went downstairs, I got me some water. I sat up for a little bit, and I was like, okay, well, I'm tired. I gotta get up in the morning. I got, to go to work. I got stuff I got to do. And so I went back to sleep. The same thing happened to me again. I woke up and I couldn't move my body, and this girl was still standing by my bed. And, I kept saying, like, what is wrong? What's wrong? How did you get here? Like, what? Why won't you talk to me? I'm studying talking. And the more I talk, talking in my mind, I'm like, this ain't right. I kept saying something ain't right. Like, I was able to, get myself up where I was able to wake up. I started repeating the Lord's Prayer in my mind, and I was able to break whatever hold it had on me. I got up, and I remember sitting up for about an hour. I think I even went in and ate some cornflakes. Like, I was like, okay, I'm not losing my mind. What is really going on? I'm like, okay, Shren, if this is real, then everything that you see right now, if you see this again when you go to sleep, this is real. Like, I was looking at the infomercial, and I saw the guy. He was talking to a lady and everything. I saw what color it was. I saw where everything was on my dresser. I saw where I laid the remote, everything. I looked at everything before I went to sleep. I went back to sleep, you guys. And no lie, it happened to me again. I could not move my body, and at that point I realized that no, this is something that's evil in this house, in this apartment. It's something evil here. And I remember repeating the Lord's Prayer, and I felt this sense of anger come over me, and I was like, get out of my house. And when I said it as I was jumping up. and all I could see was a ball of black smoke that shot through my door and went down the stairs. Like, y'all, that scared the living shit out of me. I did not stay in that apartment for 3 months. I know at least 3 months. I stayed with my mom. I would not stay in that apartment at all. I later found out that a little girl burnt up in that apartment. I didn't know anything about it. They didn't tell me nothing about it. But I found out by some neighbors that it was a little girl that had got burnt up in that apartment. And like I said, it really scared the shit out of me. So I know a lot of people don't believe in ghosts, they don't believe in spirits, they don't believe in stuff like that, they don't believe in the supernatural. But let me tell you something, it's more than just humans in this world. You got souls and stuff that's not resting. You got souls that done die horrible deaths. You don't, you know, we got to stop thinking like, okay, when we die, we go to heaven and hell. And I don't think that's the case in every situation. Some people got unfinished business, and some people is tied to something that's here. You know, they die horrible deaths, and energy is not destroyed. You can't destroy energy. It only transforms. And whatever it transforms into, I don't know. I mean, sometimes you have ghosts that's left here, but you got some people that actually cross over because they done finished everything here. That's why when I go anywhere, I don't care where I'm at, I go to a hotel room, whatever, I'm smudging, and I'm gonna bless wherever I'm gonna lay my head at, because you do not know what spirits are what's hunting that place. And I don't have time to be waking up in the middle of the night with people or ghosts sitting at the edge of my bed. But y'all, when I say I have experienced so much, I really have. I've seen a lot. And that's only a couple of things that I've seen, but I did want to share those stories with you guys. I figure it's Halloween. Why not do story time? You know, it's something I'm going to do with my kids, so I figured that I would share with you guys. But that's all I got for you guys today. And like I said, I want to wish you guys happy Halloween, and I love each and every one of you. Thank you all for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. And with that being said, I wish you guys love, peace, and abundance. I'll see you guys later. Bye.